Growing up, I had dreams. Big ones. The kind that made my heart race with possibility. I wanted to be an astronaut, a pilot, or maybe just rich beyond measure. I didn't crave the ordinary. I wanted to be something great. The kind of person people talked about with admiration. Someone who left a mark on the world. But here's the thing about dreams. They don't mean anything without direction. And for a long time, I had none. I coasted through my early years, floating without plans or purpose. I figured life would just work itself out. I thought that one day, clarity would strike like a lightning bolt and I'd suddenly know what I was meant to do. Spoiler alert, that moment never came. My priorities were simple. Have fun and avoid anything that felt like a waste of time. And to me, most things, especially modern jobs, felt pointless. Just a form of occupational therapy designed to keep people too busy to figure out who they really are. I didn't want to waste my most precious resource, time, on mindless tasks, taxes, or the grind of a 9-to-5 existence. I saw life in modern society as a prison. A system built to crush individuality and shape everyone into obedient little gears in a machine. School only deepened that belief. It didn't feel like education. It felt like indoctrination. A place that tried to mold me into a version of myself that didn't feel true. I was supposed to be this left-leaning conformist cog, just another face in the crowd. But deep down, I knew I didn't fit in. I always felt like an outsider. I wore a mask, built an ego to blend in. But behind it, there was still a raw, unpolished version of me that didn't belong. To numb that discomfort, I started drinking. Too much, too often. Parties were easier when I wasn't fully present, and alcohol dulled the sharp edges of not fitting in. Eventually, I failed to graduate from the 13th grade. But fate, in its strange way, gave me a backdoor. I still earned a high school diploma after 12 years, enough to get me into a university in the Netherlands. It could have been a fresh start. But then, my best friend died. That loss broke something inside me. I spiraled into grief, and with no one around to lean on, I turned to weed. It was easier to numb the pain than to face it. And so I did, day after day, until nothing mattered anymore. I became emotionally numb. Life lost its color, and I drifted further from anything resembling purpose. I dropped out of university after a year and returned to Germany, carrying nothing but regret and emptiness. Desperate to stay afloat, I got a full-time job at a call center. Corporate life began to drain whatever was left of my soul. I could feel it. Every day chipped away at something inside me. The system was winning. I tried to escape by starting an Ausbildung in the same field. But the more I worked, the more disillusioned I became. The final blow came when a friend said something that shattered the fragile mask I'd built. I don't even remember the exact words, just the feeling it left behind. A wave of emotion crashed over me and I broke down, crying as years of repressed pain flooded out all at once. Grief, frustration, disappointment, it all hit me like a freight train. After that, concentrating on anything became impossible. One day, aimlessly scrolling through YouTube, I stumbled upon a video of Alan Watts sipping tea and talking about the ego. His words hit me like a revelation. It suddenly clicked. My whole life I'd been trapped in a cycle of chasing approval, hiding behind masks and drowning in distractions. I wasn't broken. I was lost in my ego. That video was the beginning of my awakening. I dove deep into spirituality, devouring the ideas of Alan Watts and other spiritual teachers. I realized the ego wasn't just some abstract concept. It was the root of my suffering. But with that awakening came a dangerous slide into nihilism. If nothing mattered, then what was the point of anything? A strange thought followed. If nothing matters, then I'm free. Free to do anything. Free to try, to fail, to experiment without fear of judgment. I left behind the soul-sucking grind and took on meaningless part-time jobs. Postman, call center agent, just to get by. I worked the bare minimum needed for rent and food, and that was enough. I had glimpsed something deeper. Materialism made me miserable. I began using my time for something different. I threw myself into self-improvement experiments, ice baths, strict sleep schedules, meditation, breathwork, walking barefoot in the cold. I tested every diet imaginable: vegan, vegetarian, paleo, carnivore, fasting, raw carnivore. I experimented with pickup tactics, mind-altering substances, deliberate celibacy, and quitting porn. Anything that could push me closer to understanding myself, I tried it. But even with all this growth, something still felt off. I couldn't shake the feeling that I was still distracting myself from myself. Something deeper was missing. Then came an unexpected shift. My girlfriend and I started a YouTube channel, initially just documenting my experiments, fasting, celibacy, diets, and everything else I had tried. But something changed along the way. The channel slowly evolved into something more meaningful, a platform for spiritual exploration. We began diving into the teachings of non-duality, sharing our reflections and experiences. And for the first time, I found something that felt like purpose. Creating content that wasn't just noise, something that didn't feel like a waste of time, gave me a sense of direction. It wasn't about chasing status or wealth. It was about sharing what I had learned, in the hope it might help someone else. I spent so much of my life waiting for something to happen to me. I thought clarity would just appear, that one day I'd wake up and know. But life doesn't work that way. It doesn't hand you purpose. You build it, moment by moment, decision by decision. Looking back, I see the patterns now. The need to numb my pain, the constant drifting, the resentment towards society's expectations. I know how easy it is to get stuck in that loop, believing that life will eventually just figure itself out. But it won't. You have to choose your direction. No one else will do it for you. And if you're feeling lost, if you're where I was, this is your sign to start doing. Try something. Fail at it. Get back up. Purpose isn't a destination you find. It's something you build with every action, every moment of honesty, every time you stop running from yourself. The road doesn't get easier, but it does get clearer. So stop waiting. Life won't happen to you. It happens when you move.